All right, shalom, shalom. This is part 2 of the video, y'all. And I'm gonna start off with this. This is Second Edges chapter 15, verse. We're gonna start at verse 1 because you know most Jakes not gonna believe what's about to happen anyway, right? You can talk to them, skew blue in the face, but they still ain't gonna believe. But that don't change what's gonna happen. That don't mean that by their unbelief that it's gonna change anything, right? This is Second Esdras 15, chapter 1. Verse 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahweh, right? And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Let's look up this word, incredulity. Right? Incredulity. Right? The state of being unwilling or unable to believe something. Disbelief, incredulousness, unbelief, doubt, doubtfulness, dubiety, I think.
Dubiety. Dubiety.
Quality of being doubtful, uncertainty, right? So let's go back. Where was we at? Right here, right? Yep. So their unbelief. It says, verse 3, fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Right? So these people, right? This is about to be Jacob's trouble, y'all. All of this, let me go back to the video. All of this that this man was saying, right? Let me go back to about here. He gonna say it.
Is headed clearly, in my view, it's the same pattern as COVID, but now with a different justification. So, all
Fair use, fair use. This is a non-monetized video. I am not getting paid for this.
already many countries are suffering so-called energy lockdowns. You mentioned some of them in the intro, but also, for example, in South Korea, you're only allowed to drive on certain days of the week if you're a government employee based on your vehicle license plate. In Australia, hundreds of...
And this goes into, right, they're gonna put a stop to free roaming. Just being able to travel freely on your own. That's about to come to a halt. This is 2 Esdras 15 and 17. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Right? You ain't gonna be able to go wherever you just want to go. Right? And they causing this to happen. Like they caused for this war to pop off and for the Strait of Hormuz to be closed. And they're causing all of this to happen, which will cause a global famine, right? All the precursors to Jacob's trouble, because we already in there, but the full climax of it, we about to come into, right? And yeah. So, all right. Let me where was I at?
Petrol stations have run out now, and it's not clear when they're going to be replenished.
I seen that in South Korea, so they going through it right now. It's probably all anarchy popping off.
What's going to come is government controlled delivery of food and fuel. And this,
as our apostles and elders said, the government is going to control and ration out foods, but that's not going to work because the people are not going to go for that. So it's going to be an uprising that's going to happen, right? It's gonna be civil unrest, right? Slovakia, hold on, y'all. Yep. They will cause civil unrest, right? So this is 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse, let's go 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And they're going to do so out of all the social injustices, and also this food rationing that they're going to do, and gas rationing. Because look, if people can't get to work, then they're not going to have money, then they're not going to have food, then they won't be able to take care of themselves nor a family. So it's like people are going to start uprising from this. And that's what will cause a civil war, right? On top of the war that we're already in right now. So it's, hey, and DJT uh, introduced those robots with Melania yesterday, right? So they just showing you, they just making what's the word? They're making you desensitized to all the stuff that they're doing. They use Melania because she's beautiful to, they always use a beautiful woman to, soften the blow of what they're about to deliver or introduce into the society and stuff, right? And they made it seem like it was something harmless. They tried to say that it was going to educate the kids, and the AI that's inside of it was going to be a good education, factor and all. It's just a bunch of bullshit, y'all. Verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Civil war, right? For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. And they're going to invade one another because the rationing of food, the rationing of gas is not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough, right? And then after the gas go out, then there's going to be a shortage of food in the grocery stores, which people will when they notice this, they're going to eventually start turning up on each other, right? Because for food, right? For there should be sedition among men and invading one another, right? Civil war, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to, because the military is going to shut things down to where you can't move freely. You see what DJT is doing with ICE, or ICE right now in the airport. So it ain't going to be no traveling. Once you here in Babylon the Great, look, you got the chance right now to get on up out of here. Once you in this mug, when that certain time come, they going to cut that off. You ain't going to be able to travel. In verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Really, that rationing of food is about to be the Hunger Games. It's about to be a Hunger Game scenario, right? A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, right? And that's going to come through famine, y'all, right? That's what people do in a famine. They start losing it, right? They ain't got nothing else to lose. They start losing it.
Will encompass Americans, especially as prices get much higher and more job displacement takes place because of the AI displacement. And you just
It's a manufactured famine.
saw a humanoid robot walking around the White House. That's also part of the plan. That's why I have the AI background here today behind me. But as you have all this displacement, the public will scream for universal basic income.
They gonna get down with that MOTB, right? Now this is part 2, y'all. I'm gonna shoot to part 3. All right, shalom.